rest of the story. I want you to meet Bill Harrison, nicely dressed gentleman, age 76. He's heard all of the warnings from well-meaning friends that New York City is a jungle, particularly after dark. That nicely dressed older gentleman ought not travel unescorted through those untamed streets. Bill Harrison has heard all of that. But like so many nicely dressed septuagenarians, he often hears without listening. He remembers things the way they were, and so vividly that the kinder, gentler past sometimes superimposes itself over the lean, mean present. It was perhaps with such anachronistic visions dancing in his head that Bill left his favorite Manhattan restaurant late that night, never imagining as he hailed a taxi and stepped into it that he would be lucky if he lived an hour longer to tell the rest of the story. "Lovely evening," was all he said to the driver, who responded with the traditional New York grunt. By now, the concrete canyon avenues were as empty as they ever get in the Apple. The problem is they're never completely empty. The cab stopped at a stoplight. That's what any self-respecting mugger calls easy pickings. That night, 2 of them did. All at once, a damp, chilly draft was blowing through the back seat of the taxi, the logical result of both rear doors being yanked open so wide and so suddenly that they nearly came off their hinges. Bill glanced to his right. A hefty young thug, maybe 19 years old, is standing in the yawning doorway. Bill glanced to his left. There another hoodlum stood, perhaps a year or 2 older than his accomplice. Silently, swiftly, they had crept up on the unsuspecting piece of public transit, had attacked it from either side like pack-hunting predators. Bill looked straight ahead. The taxi driver, who had seemed formidable enough himself at the outset of the journey, was now shaking so hard the meter shut down. "What do you want?" Bill asked the 2 ruffians, pretty much knowing the answer before it arrived. "Give us your wallet," one of them demanded. Yes, that was precisely what Bill had guessed. "I'm sorry," he replied, in a polite fashion befitting his immaculate attire. "I cannot give you my wallet. But I can give you this." In the next instant, Bill's right fist shot past his left shoulder and squarely into the face of the approaching thief. Not even an instant later, his left fist crossed to his right side and thundered into the skull of the other surprised young man. And thus, in 1 1/2 moments, were 2 New York street toughs rendered utterly unconscious. Bill could see them through the rear window of the cab as the driver sped away. They were still lying motionless, flat on their backs, as the gloom of night enveloped them. I know there's a moral in here somewhere, or at least an instructive aphorism by which aspiring young criminals might sidestep the mistakes of their predecessors. But what it comes down to is, never assume anything. I mean, the guy might be 76 years old. He might look like he's dressed for the prom. But he just might turn out to be who Bill turned out to be the night the lights went out on Broadway. Retired heavyweight champion of the world, William Harrison Dempsey. Jack Dempsey? That's right. Jack Dempsey. And now you know the rest of the story.